We are dreamers.
Frontline workers.
Students.
Visionaries.
Healthcare workers.
Bankers.
Engineers.
Educators.
Designers.
Nurses.
We're multi-passionate people.
Dog lovers.
Podcasters.
Foot golfers.
We're hardworking.
Blue collar.
Strong. Loving.
Loyal.
We are advocates.
We're the sons and daughters of Lansing.
Moms.
Dads. Friends.
Neighbors.
We are family.
We are tradition. We are perseverance. We are resilient.
We are old.
We're young. We are the future.
We are fans.
We are supporters.
We are smoking bubbles.
We are soccer.
We are football.
We are a community club.
Community focused. Community owned.
And we are community built.
This is Lansing's Club.
Lansing's Club.
Lansing's Club.
Lansing's Club.
We are Lansing Common FC.
Lansing Common FC.
Lansing Common FC.
Lansing Common Football Club.
We are Lansing Common FC. Let's go.
The Robin needed a podcast, and thus here we are. Welcome to the best and only Lansing Soccer Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Weston Shelton, and welcome to the show. Thank you for sticking through those delays. Couple live shows, man. Live entertainment. Hopefully no issues for our live stream this Saturday, but thanks for sticking with it. We got a packed show. We got a lot of people here, so we're going to take you around the table, and then we're going to reveal. We're not LeBron the decision. We're gonna reveal the brick kit or the kit right away.
God damn. God damn it, Weston.
Always with the NBA.
Well, fuck the intros. Let's just drop the kit.
Let's do it.
Change of plan. Change of plan. Live. It's live. It's live. That's the kit. That is the kit. There it is. Jeff is here. He's not on video today. But
I'm just the voices in your all's heads.
So this kit was not designed by you, right? This was a this was the fan design contest?
Correct. If you remember, we held a early pandemic because we thought it would be not nearly as long as it was, but it was just something we could pass the time in, maybe have kids draw or whatever, and just kind of get the creative community involved in it. And this was our winner. We had, I believe, nine final submissions, and 5 of them came from my family members alone. So I obviously had to recuse myself from any voting, but this one was actually designed by my cousin Steven, but this one was voted on by every board member, not me. So there's no nepotism whatsoever, but everybody just kind of thought that, it was a great joke, but also kind of a cool concept to just be a solid brick pattern top to bottom. So yeah, that's what we went with the brown color, which might be the reason why we don't have a brown kit, but got that nugget.
So that's Andrew Nicholson there. Curious what his thoughts are. You guys took pictures with some of the other guys too. What their thoughts were when they saw the kit the first time.
Andrew he loved it. I know you had the in messaging with you beforehand. You're talking maybe it might be like, oh my gosh, I have to live up to this. But he thought it was like, it's cool, like a confidence building thing. Like, So it'll be interesting to see how they actually perform with it. I don't know if it's going to be our first choice goalkeeper kit, but it might be a special, we need a special extra juice in a game. We might throw it on.
I'm just sad we didn't get a keeper from Eastern Michigan because that nickname would just be awesome. Especially if their name was Richard. Nobody else knows the water tower there.
No.
Oh, come
Sorry.
on.
No one's got
the big
those.
phallic water tower, and they call it the Brick Dick.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I said before I would I could see it going the other way. If you're a goalkeeper, you got to be kind of weird. So, yeah, if you fuck up and you're in the brick kit, it's a bad look. But it might honestly make you focus more because you're like, I can't fuck up in a brick kit. I cannot. I absolutely cannot. So I think, are we dropping probably the more primary goalkeeper kit tomorrow? Is that the plan?
I think that is the plan.
There was a lot of people asking, will this be for sale?
Yes. Limited run. We'll see how fast they sell out if we determine we want to order some more, but I'll be honest with you, goalkeeper kits don't sell at the rate that regular kits do. So we're going to try it on a limited run basis, but I have a feeling it might go pretty quick. And the other one is going to definitely go quick too, because it's even better in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to wear it when I play goalie. I'm debating which one I should buy first. It's a tough call, but Andrew might have sold me on the brick kit being the first one. So
yeah. So I just want to the shot that's on screen right now is him just sitting on the metal bench. So me and Scott were like walking towards. We had picked Don Johnson Fieldhouse as kind of the backdrop near our stadium, just right across the lot, and historic Lansing building. And so we're like, it has a cool brick pattern on it, so we thought it would might be a good match. And then we just kind of look over, there's like utility building they have over there, and those rusted out steps just like looked too perfect. And we've already been teased about like having a kind of a grungy, angsty looking vibe, and we were just like, this is us turning all the way into that. So we're definitely gonna give these pics over to Andrew and have him spruce up his social profiles with all those modeling shots. Super nice guy. So if he does get some significant minutes, I think Lansing fans will really like him. So,
Jeff, did you have a permit to be that close to those steps?
Who gives a crap?
Okay, sorry. Very, very insider joke about train tracks and people bitching about dumb things. So, all right. Well, so that's Jeff. That's our VP who's been talking, and he's our main kit designer. So let me take your. So our friend Jeff Bukowski asked for the mailbag, but I'm just going to ask you now. Are you ready, Jeff? Are you ready?
Sorta.
Okay.
It's
reassuring.
Not as enthusiastic as other people, but it's like behind the scenes seeing the sausage get made. So, there's some worries that go along with the excitement. So it's tempered, but it's definitely feeling very positive about it.
Also on is Eric Walcott, the president. Eric, are you ready?
Emotionally, yes. Just standing there at practice yesterday, it was just like, all right, this is another moment of this is very, very real, and here we go, let's do it. Yeah, like similar to Jeff, mentally I'm checking the list of things that have to get done before Saturday, and thinking there's still some things to get done, but yeah, I cannot wait for Saturday.
And board member at large and currently in Portland, Oregon. We miss him so much. Cameron Tanner making his triumphant return. Cam, I know you won't be here for this one, but are you ready to watch the live stream?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready. I will be quality control for the live stream. To Jeff's point, I can personally guarantee there are no icky bits in our sausage. So while we saw what was behind the scenes, I guess the fact that I'm out here in Oregon for it, I have less to be nervous about because I just get to watch from afar. But no, I'm definitely going to miss being there in the crowd. I mean, I've been ready since day one with we'll call it the Ignite funeral there for this moment. So
you will, for your fans, Cam, you will be making it to a game or two this season, though, right?
Yeah, I was planning on actually being for the home opener, but right after I moved out here, cases both in Oregon and Michigan started rising, and I didn't feel comfortable pulling the trigger on a ticket right then. But I'll be back for sure. We're looking to have me in the stands in some manner for this match. I'm working with some folks to get a little bit of Cam into Eastern, so keep an eye out.
And joining us, Dylan, I told you I didn't know how I was going to introduce you, but I was lying. We have Dylan, who is part of the member board for our supporter group, so he's here to talk supporters today. The last time Dylan was on a Lansing Soccer podcast was roughly 570-ish days ago.
Wow.
When he tearfully talked about how much it hurt that Ignite was folding, and now he's back today, 4 days before the start of Lansing Common FC. What a journey, Dylan.
That was an intro. That was a fantastic intro. Well, it's good to be here, and thanks for bringing up that emotional day for me.
There's a lot of emotion that day, but I think if anyone wants to listen back, Dylan had it was a heart-wrenching little soliloquy.
I was actually talking to Sarah about not wanting to go back and listen to my voice on podcasts and recordings, but maybe we'll have to go back and touch on that one.
It's worse than the McLaughlin dog videos, to be honest.
Real quick, Dylan, your team, you are like the president of Lansing Citizens. Your team won the title today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. Through all this stuff, your team is your team. I think that's something to emphasize with that. Feels good. Always a supporter. Separate the owners from the club. It's kind of my 2 cents on that. Love this team. We'll continue to love this team. Down
Dylan, a little insider info here. You wanted to wear City stuff on this podcast, but your fiance, you got into a fierce debate, and you're wearing Common gear.
She talked me out of it. Yeah. He's gonna be upstairs somewhere right now. So we were talking about it, and I'm like, oh, Weston was talking about City. I think I need to have my Man City gear on. And I'm like, nah, it's a Lansing Common pod. I'm representing the supporters group. Stick with the Common gear, and it's close enough to sky blue where it feels at home.
There we go. All right, so
it's
let's
like
get
sky blue but better.
Yeah, Robin's egg blue, sky blue. They're like this. They're like this.
All right. Well, we got a lot to cover here, so let's get into it. First off, if you follow us on social media, I think you were aware that yesterday was our media day, and it was successful. A lot of stories about Lansing Common in local media yesterday. It was pretty great. If you follow top tier sports teams in America or colleges, media day is a pretty standard practice. I don't know of many lower league soccer teams. I follow some pretty closely. USL League One we've podcasted about. I can't recall a lot of like quote unquote media days. What made you guys want to do this? I did not see it coming, honestly. Eric, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can a little bit, and then I don't know, Jeff might have more to say, but I think, for us, one of the things is we want to do a good job with our content for this year. And so part of that is like having pictures of all of our players wearing the uniform and stuff like that. So the idea to do a media day, like, I think it would have been successful for us even if no like local media showed up, because we would have gotten a lot of things that we want to have to be able to tell our story throughout the season. So the fact that we were able to get, 2 TV crews out there and Phil French from LSJ, like, that's amazing. And that kind of coverage, like, really helps us get our name out there and tell our story in the Lansing area. But it was kind of one of those things where we planned it so that we would get some of the content that we want and that we need. And then getting to, invite local media and build those connections is an added bonus on top of that.
Yeah, kind of jumping off what Eric said. Step number 1 was definitely just getting shots of our players, because one of our goals in talking with Scott about our website is that's one of the things we really wanted to have that most teams at our level don't have, is a nice roster page that's updated with information and has nice headshots of all the guys. So that was kind of step 1. Step 2, just from it's kind of my personal passion plea, but it kind of in terms of like keeping the historical archives of this club as we progress throughout history, is I just wanted a team photo. I don't recall ever, at least a Lansing soccer team, having like an official team photo where you just have everybody all in one place just to remember a season by. So that's something I wanted to start, and I love how it turned out. I hope we can post it soon, but just really excited about that. And then the media, having the media people kind of just grew out of that because we knew we wanted to give opportunities to kind of get to know players before the season starts. We knew that'd be beneficial for us. And honestly, our media partners have been fantastic, better than we probably could have anticipated when we first started out. So definitely helping them out in any way, kind of introducing them to some of our players and through that introducing our fans to some of these players, because I sitting in the locker room, you have a question about it, I can answer further maybe, but just sitting in the locker room and seeing the guys interact, like people are gonna love this team.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, because this is, at least for some of us, the first time we got to see this team really together, go to a training. I know a couple of you have been to some before, but Jeff, I know when I first showed up, you were like, these guys are characters. So, I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience interacting with them a bit and the way the team kind of gelled?
Yeah, you can tell one of the benefits of having a roster that, I mean, this is their first day, but having all these local guys with connections that either played at the same high school or played in the same youth club or like knew the same people, is that I feel like they started to gel really quick. And you know, when a locker room starts to gel quick, the jokes start flying. And there are some jokesters on this team already. I won't name names now. You guys will learn who they are. But man, they're just some real good just banter going back and forth. And just some guys' personalities. Not just in like jokey ways, but like it was kind of funny. Like we're trying to get them to take serious pictures and smiling pictures, and there are some guys who they just have terrible time like getting a good smile, but then there are other guys who cannot make a serious face to save their life. Like and then just seeing some of the moments. One of the best moments. I'll name a name here because he's becoming one of my favorites. But Osman Haji, one of the first players to actually put on the kit, and then they did it. We had the health clinic come in and give a talk, so not everybody was dressed yet, but he was dressed, and he walked out of the locker room to go hear this talk. And he's just standing there, just like rubbing the kit. Like you could tell he was so excited to have it on, and those are the kind of moments, especially like in building up to our first match, that you know just you just love. And he has a great personality too, and is a good teammate. So because we saw him from an open tryout, so he's one of the guys we signed from that. And yeah, I think fans are gonna love him in particular.
We talked about Osman a bit last week in our players we were looking forward to, and then he ended up being one of the guys talking to the media. And man, it was such a good interview. Like his passion for this team is like so genuine and obvious. He was like, I think in one of his quotes, like, I want to start tomorrow. Like he's so pumped. So I do think the fans will feed off that. Any final takes from you on the training, Eric, since you were also there?
No, I mean, it was just, I guess yes, since I'm going to talk.
Nope, move on.
It was just awesome to see the team out there, and like Jeff said, starting to see them gel. And is interesting seeing the coaches, like there's a little bit different mode from like trial mode, where there's like a little bit of coaching but a lot of just observing going on, to a little bit more of that active, like engaged and like giving instructions throughout drills and stuff. That was just kind of fun to see that happening.
Yeah, I enjoyed Oaks' speech was also a highlight, I thought. He had the guys pretty fired up, had some great quotes about you know, playing for Lansing, and I think he's starting to lean into to the amount of hype we put into his quotes, because he's giving quotes then asking people if they remember this quote that he said. So I think he's part of that character on the team. You know, it's he asked me, he's like, "Oh, do you remember that quote I said?" I'm like, yeah. Obviously, you watched the streams, so that's awkward
have him
for me.
on soon.
Yes, we will definitely be gunning for that. I think that'd be a great conversation. But hey, that media day all leads into the first match this Saturday. I can't believe it. 4 days. Only $5. Eric was talking offline about this. We don't plan on having people there to buy tickets at the gate. So if you know people who are interested in going, buy them online. I think there will be like a QR code there, but just buy them now with limited quantities anyway. We have no idea, how many will be available. So get those tickets now. I think the attendance we can do is like 425 or something. Eric, is that
450 is our capacity for Saturday.
Is that I guess, what do you view as success for this game in terms of attendance?
I don't know that there's a number I would put on success for attendance. I think, and if there was, we've probably already surpassed it in terms of ticket sales. If things go smoothly for the most part on Saturday, and the people who come are able to have a good time, that's going to be success for me in terms of the fan experience. I mean, just like with COVID and everything, like the limitations it puts on us, and understanding that there's going to be people out there who still don't feel comfortable going to a sporting event, and that's perfectly understandable. So for me, it's to the people who show up, have a good time, and are we reaching people so that they have the opportunity to show up because they know that we're playing.
So, this podcast is in part about just sharing our experiences and what's successful for us. In terms of selling tickets so far, what have you found to be successful?
I mean, a lot of it, I think, has been our member, our season ticket holders. But then I think the media stories do help a lot. Getting on the late night news, morning news this morning in the LSJ, that gets in front of people who are not our already captive audience. And now that there's actual games to go buy tickets for, I think that helps a lot. We've got a few things, we're going to be putting some posters up around town and trying to just get some more eyeballs on that in the rest of this week. And just, again, trying to get as much attention and help people know that these games are happening.
So this question was in mailbag, but I figured might as well discuss it now since we're talking about the first match. Gregory Harris asked, any players to watch for this Saturday on either side? And then he asked when the starting 11 would be announced. I assume we'll have the starting 11 on social media an hour before or so.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard in soccer, an hour before the game. So that'll be what we'll target. Players to watch for, honestly, all of them. Talking to coaches wouldn't shock me if every player that we can give a jersey on Saturday sees the field. So I think it's a good chance for players to kind of show what they've got, but for fans, it's also a good chance to see a lot of the different players we've got and start to kind of, build that relationship that fans have with players.
Yeah, and Oak said that, I think, to the media, that he's pretty much trying to get everybody out there. Personally, I will have my eye on who is starting, just across any sport. Whoever's starting is probably who the coach maybe has in mind as a starting lineup. Obviously, there's another week of training. There's probably some position battles. It's not set in stone, but whoever starts, I think, is a realistic starting 11 for our real first game in Midwest Premier League the next week. But if you want a specific name, I am interested in, I brought him up last week, but I'm interested in Zach Kelly. We now have 4 goalkeepers on the roster. I'm not sure where Zach will fit in there in the rotation, but in training, just because we had other goalkeepers to play, he put Zach in the field. So will he play Zach in the field? Will he play Zach in goal? I am curious to see what he does with this Swiss Army knife. Jeff, being in there, any other thoughts on who to look out for?
I honestly, I don't know who's gonna start. I didn't get a good enough read on kind of the first practice, and you're not gonna get that good read anyway. But just from storylines and kind of researching, Shetty Omar.
That's what I was gonna say too.
He's another one. He's another one of the guys who kind of has some flair, I noticed, and kind of is kind of a vocal vocal guy on the pitch, so he might be when he gets minutes. I'm sure he will, if it's starting or off the bench, whatever. However, Oaks uses him, I think he's definitely gonna be someone I would have my eye on.
We have the player profiles coming out for Shetty, I think tomorrow, and he is like super pumped. He is all about the fans. Like he explicitly talks about that, is how much he likes to play to the fans. So I'm excited to see that. So he's definitely on my list. Yeah, there's some midfield players like Louis who I think would be real good, who Ken just brought up in the chat too. All right, Dylan. The other big news this week is the supporter group is launching their big preseason meeting this Thursday.
Oh yeah.
So you are on the board. I imagine most people in here know what a supporter group is, but just real quick, do you want to quickly talk about that? What is a supporter group?
Yeah, just to give a quick shout out. So we did make a small board. Shout out to Richard Shank and Patrick. We just formed a small, 3-person board just to get it started. President, vice president, and I am acting as Lansing Common Football Club liaison. Just kind of link the group with the club. Going back to your question, so what is a supporters group? That's what you asked?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just for any who don't really, I know most of us are familiar, but just a fan-driven organization that looks just to pretty much link the supporters with the team, the organization behind the team. We're looking there just to facilitate sort of a relationship between the club and the fans at large, like, maybe not the fans that are super involved with the club, that are looking to, kind of have that organization that's looking out for them and kind of giving maybe, a little bit of direction, kind of, representing them.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Sampson always says that for a Lansing audience, it's like the IZone for soccer. I don't think that's a bad comparison at all.
Yeah, that's the primary drive of supporters group. Really, we're there for 90 minutes to cheer on the team. That's what we're there. We're there to pump the guys up. We're there to get them with bad touch, good touch. We're there to get behind them and really emphasize the good and really help build. It's that common myth of the 12th man. We're really there to be that 12th man on the field and show them that the supporters are behind them.
And I think something important too, because it's something because I went to MSU and I did not enjoy going to the zone. I liked going to my basketball game and watching the game. I didn't want to be involved in the weird stuff. That's what I thought of it as.
Weird stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah, right. But yeah. Well, I'll say for soccer in particular.
Weston.
For soccer in particular, the supporter group is so important. Like the atmosphere of the game, like a soccer game, just with some of the lulls in the action and less obvious moments of buildup, doesn't have like a basketball game where every bucket or miss, the crowd cheers or whatever. There's lulls in the action where a supporter group is so vital, just so vital to the atmosphere of a game. Without one, I mean, if you've been to any random high school game, it's kind of weird, especially after you've been in a supporter atmosphere. So very, very vital, and really the success of a lot of clubs hinges on how good the supporter group is, because they're kind of like the draw that gets more casual people in too. Just oh, look at those crazy people chanting and drumming and stuff. So
it's funny that you bring that up, because growing up, I wasn't a sports fan at all. My family was not a sports family. And then I just watched the 2006 World Cup, and I fell in love with the play. I fell in love with the sports in itself. But what really got me as a teenager was the supporter culture of football teams. And then from international soccer, football, I got into club, and then I was just hooked. I still remember to see the 2012 Manchester City Premier League winning team, to see what that meant to those fans, to see how they got behind that team. You had people crying on the field, and that's to me, that's what soccer fandom is all about. It's truly unique, and I think it's unlike any American sport. It's insane.
Yeah, I actually have kind of a story that kind of similar experience with Dylan that just kind of it encapsulates what supporter means versus like just fan. Because like when you think of like I'm a Detroit sports fan kind of when they're good, but like just like you go to a Tigers game and if like the team sucks, the home fans start booing them because they're not performing to like fan. To me, a fan just sits there and kind of expects to be entertained. A supporter feels like they're part of the team and it's their duty to do. Like one of the defining like final nails of me becoming a Liverpool fan was, I believe it was the 2008 Champions League semifinals. John Arnorisa scored a crucial own goal to have us knocked out of the tie, and so we wouldn't go on to the finals. And like it was like the 80th minute, and instead of booing him or like throwing things on the field, like the crowd just started singing his name, like dude, you got this. Let's just go get one. And like seeing that kind of blows your mind. Like if you're used to, oh, he did a bad thing, we have to boo him, to like he did a bad thing, we have to lift him up. That to me, that's the difference between supporter culture and just fan culture.
Love that comparison.
And every great Lansing soccer moment I've been a part of, what really, like, it was a great moment on the field, but what really made it special was everybody around me going nuts. Like if you were there for Ignite First Madison, the crazy 2-goal stoppage time, I always remember Scott running into the corner. I'll remember, I'm pretty sure I hugged Dylan at least once. Or maybe twice. I did hug you, Dylan. Yep. After that moment, I hugged you and you said, "This is sports. This is sports." It was awesome. Like that
moment is seared into my memory.
So that's what it's all about, and those are the special connections you build with this. So if you are even somewhat interested, I really can't recommend enough. It's a totally different experience, and it's not something I ever would have thought I was in. I only got into it because Cam tricked me. But
yeah, like going off what you're saying, Weston, going off of what Jeff was saying, I mean, that's what a supporters group is really all about. It's building that relationship and really being an extension of the team in the stands. That's what we're shooting to do.
So that's kind of the identity. That's kind of the identity you're looking for, just like a positive, uplifting group community. Yeah. So this first meeting for you guys is Thursday at 7 at Ozones.
Yep, Thursday at 7 at Ozones. We will also be doing a Facebook live stream for any who can attend in person.
So what are the big things that are on the agenda? What are the things we're trying to iron out here before the first game?
It's really kind of two parts to that. We're kind of looking at like a big picture thing and also the logistics. So big picture, obviously COVID has really kind of hampered the momentum of the supporters group. Maybe we don't have the amount of progress with our whole identity that we were hoping to have. But we're shooting to make up for lost time at this meeting. And we really want to iron out, we don't want to get the opinions of just 3, 4, 5, 6 people. We want to get the opinions of anyone who wants to have a voice in the supporters group. So we really didn't want to really make a lot of strides on that until we really got the input of the larger group.
So that's when the name will come. Do you guys have a goal for like when the group's going to be named, or is that just kind of come as it comes?
We have a loose goal, sort of. If it happens, we actually have on Thursday, we're going to have a brief questionnaire, kind of like, detailing what the supporters group means to you. Like, what do you want to see of the supporters group? What kind of imagery do you associate with the supporters group? Like, what do you want to see? And we're going to kind of go off of that and have some workshops, maybe kind of similar to what Lansing Common did. And if it all works out and we feel like we nailed something down, it's really working for everyone, we're hoping maybe mid-season we'll shoot for something. Like maybe one of the late June games, something like that.
And any work, so I assume the tailgating situation will be talked about at this meeting as well.
Yeah, big talks on that, and that's the other aspect of the meeting. You have the big picture stuff, but you also have, I mean, like everyone's going crazy for. We have a game on Saturday. That's insane, and we need to prepare for that as supporters as well. Like we need to like nail down logistics and stuff. So a big part of our conversation is going to be actual game day logistics. Like where are we going to meet? When are we going to meet? Like what are we going to bring? Like the march to the stadium. What is that going to entail? How are we going to behave at the match? What kind of chants are we going to do? Flags, tifos, smoke bombs, that sort of thing. And a lot of this we're hoping to iron out on Thursday with that meeting and really get a good start to supporting Lansing.
So COVID kind of put us behind the eight ball with naming all that, but it kind of works out in a weird way. So I know Kayla's.
We just want it to be natural. That's the main thing. We want it to be a natural process with as many voices as possible.
So I know Cam has to jump off. I don't think you should actually X out of the Zoom, Cam, because I think that'll screw Steve's thing. But nobody, to me, Cam, nobody embodies supporter culture like you. So I'm just curious if you have some final thoughts or bits of advice for the group as they start off, since obviously you won't be there for the meeting.
For the meeting, I don't know if I have any advice other than be open-minded, let the group grow organically and become a sum of its parts, if that makes sense. I know sometimes, especially as in America, we've gotten further and further along, and every team actually seems like they have a supporter group these days, and some look to already existing groups and try and model themselves after them, which I think is fine to take the good from others, but don't just try and make yourself a carbon copy of like Timber's Army or something else you've seen in Europe. I mean, yeah, sure, grab some things that you think are good, but really let it be Lansing, really let it be you, and be fucking loud. I know we got Dustin there, we got a lot of loud people there. Be loud.
We got to make up for no you.
Never shut up. I know this isn't part of the meeting per se, but the one thing as I'm watching the stream that I always find most important, and I think Jeff got to it in one sense, is that moment after the goal is scored against you, when a lot of people in American sports expect that to be quiet. But the one thing I want to hear first, I don't want to see goals scored against us, but hey, but in that moment, I just want to hear that full-throated support. Like, yes, we've got your back. Continue on from that supporter section.
And awesome. Your wisdom makes me emotional, Cam. Honestly, I miss having you to say that in person, but thanks to modern day, you're still here, and I know we'll see you in person.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll be loud for you, Cam.
All right, drink a couple common causes too.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's back on tap at Ozone's. I know a lot of people are going. So meetings Thursday 7:00, but I know a lot of people are going there after the game Saturday. So that is going to be the place to be post game.
Join us. We want everyone there. We want as many people as we can get there as possible. We have to fill out every table. That would be awesome. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. And that's the thing that Cam was really driving home there. Like me, Rich, and Patrick, this board is really just to get things started. Like it's really get things organized, get the momentum going. And we really want to just push this supporters group to kind of build itself. Like I'm kind of envisioning it like we're like the beginning of a snowball at the top of a hill. We'll start it rolling, and we want that to gather and build momentum and go downhill and knock down trees and stuff. Really cause a ruckus. We want to cause a ruckus in a good way.
I'm loving Cam's still. For Eric, Jeff, quickly. Has it been hard not getting involved in this? I guess Jeff more in particular, because Eric's kind of taken a step back in recent years with fatherhood and stuff. Jeff, has it been hard not getting involved at all in this?
Honestly, no. It's weird. I mean, just life stuff, just I feel like would have had less time to devote to it anyway. So like being kind of in that awkward, like I'm definitely a fan of the club, and then it came at a perfect time in my life where I could just that I can just divide and go. I mean, I'll be around, and if people want to, like, you know, tap my brain for ideas, I'm here. You can ask me stuff.
You might be designing.
I'm leaving the supporter life behind me a little bit.
Oh man, that hurts. But you will be probably designing our logo eventually, I imagine. So once again, 7:00 Thursday at Ozones. Like Lansing Common SG on Facebook. They got an event. Check it out. Definitely be there. If you can't, there should be a stream. But once again, get involved. So we are getting into mailbag here. If you have any questions you want us to tackle, feel free to put them in the chat too. I'll look through that after we get through our questions from Twitter. So we're playing Fort Wayne Sport Club, formed in 1927. So Jordan Stoddard asked, this club is one of the oldest active soccer clubs in the nation, at nearly 100 years old. What can Lansing Common FC learn from them to ensure we're still around in 21-21? Eric, I'll let you tackle this, and I want you to think about something, Eric. What would it feel like if your grandkids are talking about how their grandpa is the one that was the first president of this club?
This was the thing earlier you said was going to give me chills.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's a good one. So I was thinking about this earlier when I saw this question, and I think there's a lot of different things that we probably can learn from a club like them. I think that the thing that I came back to was to find our level and not to settle, as in like we never want to stop improving, but that like realizing it's okay to find your level as a club and to be okay being there. So they are an amateur. They have youth teams. They have a men's amateur team that competes in amateur cup. Does some other competitions and stuff. But it's not like they've tried to like build up and say like, oh, we're going to be an MLS club someday. Like they found their level and they've done a really good job of it. And I don't know what that level is for Lansing Common. Maybe in 100 years we're playing in the Midwest Premier League or whatever version of that exists. But I think that is one thing where like there is this push, it feels like in American soccer in particular, to like, oh, we got to move up. Even though there's not promotion or relegation, like we got to get up to like, and we've had these questions already from people like, is the goal to be back in USL 1 or whatever? And I think that I don't know what that level is, but finding the level that really fits this club and this city and being okay being there, even if it's not the top level. And, maybe someday we get pro rel and we can, put together some great seasons and win our way up to the top. But I think that's the thing that if we want to be sustainable and be around, figuring out what level works for us and making it work.
Yeah. If I can add on to that, it's find a way to be, it's almost being accountable to yourself. Like I see, I'll come out and say it. Like I see a lot of pro rel Twitter, especially like guys who are running teams complaining on Twitter about pro rel, and they said you're killing my club. And you see a club like Fort Wayne or like Milwaukee Bavarians or somebody like that with a ton of history that have stayed around. I think you're not being accountable to yourself and really looking at your own club and finding your realistic level. And so like, yeah, maybe your club is dying, but maybe that's part of how you're doing business. Like maybe you're not doing the right things to be sustainable at the level that you're honestly supposed to be at. So, so for us, it goes back to one of our core principles as a club is being sustainable. We absolutely want to be around in 21-21. And so what we learn from them is how do we make sure that we're doing all the things we can to be sustainable. And if we find out we overextend ourselves, then we got to face the harsh reality of cuts in some of the things we do. But because when it all comes back to it, we got to be here. That's what it's about for us.
Jeff, are you telling me that Metro pop sizes are important?
They kind of are, yes.
Yes, thank you. I wish Cam was here for that. Jordan also asked about the Lynn United game, which we'll be talking about in a bit here after mailbag. Jordan also asked for you, Jeff, will fans have a chance to see the full kits, including shorts and socks, before kickoff Saturday?
If we have some good team shots that come out from the media day, then yes. If not, you'll see it at kickoff, and it'll be a fun surprise.
I think
it's
the
just
real
one of those
answer to
things
that
that we just haven't. It's slipped our minds a little bit this year. We'll do a better job.
I think part of the answer there is if Scott has time to edit pictures before Saturday, which we'll see. We're asking a lot of Scott these days, so.
Jeff, this was for you from Ken. I'm excited for this one. I would actually wish Cam was still on for this one too. For Jeff, as hard as you worked on coming with a logo, we could all get behind, can you ever imagine rebranding and not getting input from your most important partners? And I believe he's throwing some shade on Columbus SC.
The Columbus Crew. Yeah, no, fun fact, we're going to change our badge next year, and I'm not going to show anybody until it's on the kits. Just letting you all know. No, I don't want to be self-righteous or anything, because I don't want it to come off that way. But I honestly can't imagine going through a legitimate brand process and not getting feedback, because I'm sure the Columbus stuff was well paid for, so I'm sure the guys designing it aren't really losing sleep at night, but deep down, somebody put that together and put that out into the world, and they didn't talk to people. Just the way I work, I just couldn't imagine that. It's one thing, if you're just trying to get ahead in the world and doing concept work, I do concept work all the time. I shared a ton of concepts this year with people who are friends with me on Facebook. Concepts are, part of the creative process and kind of how you develop skills as a designer. But, and in that, it's very insular, you're doing it with yourself. But when you're a pro sports team, is one of the weirdest, it's a game, but people have, when it comes to colors and logos, they're more passionate about that stuff that they're connected to than any other thing. Like Burger King could change the logo. Some people might I don't like that logo, but they would get over it in 2 weeks. Sports teams, people get tattoos of their sports team logo on their bodies. And when that level of emotional investment from a fan base comes into play, you should consult with them. I mean, Columbus already did a rebrand before, and it was a very solid job. Their original logo was not great. As nostalgic as some people are about it, it really wasn't great and absolutely needed to be changed. And if the new badge wasn't working for them, that's fine. You can rebrand. It should have just been a collaborative process to really define the spirit of what the Crew are, especially in light of literally just the fans literally banding together to save the club. That's the ultimate. But I have way more thoughts, but I feel like I've answered that completely.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this firsthand in Lansing with Lansing Ignite, right? I don't know why these teams do it. I don't know if it's because it's easier. I mean, obviously it was a lot of work for you guys to do all those meetings, to make the common logo. But and maybe it's because they just want the surprise of it, and they don't want to ruin the surprise. But it's no one wants a surprise. I don't want a surprise crest. No one. I mean, it's cool if it works out, but in the end, you're going to be successful like probably 95% of the time if you're just getting everybody involved. If you're like, hey, this is our crest, we're going to surprise you. The surprise factor lasts for 2 seconds versus like a lifetime image here. So,
well, and if you want an example of the surprise of like if it kind of working, I mean, regardless of if you think the end product was amazing or not, but like Philadelphia Union's New Jerseys this year, like they had fan involvement, they had supporter involvement in that process, and it was still a surprise when they finally released it. And it was a thing that I think, you know, from the reaction, most of their supporters were super excited about. And I think that supporter involvement in that process is a huge piece of that.
The Columbus thing is bizarre too, because it's like, I get the logic, like Sporting KC, you know, their rebrand and that was very successful for them, but they still kept SC. You know what I mean? Like if you're exclusively trying to learn Euro snobs, I mean, you didn't even do the basic FC part. I don't know. But yeah, it was bad. We won't be doing that.
The thing is, it's not like even, sorry to go keep on this, but like you just brought up the point of changing from the KC Wiz to the KC Wizards, then like realizing that brand is still just not great, and then going to a European sounding team. Whereas Columbus Crew, yes, American style, but at the same time, like it does have a little bit of a European feel in the name to it. Like
I agree with that. I was thinking that.
Like it's not like Philadelphia Union is a perfect example. I'm glad Eric brought them up because they are the perfect example of a technically American naming convention, Philadelphia Union, but it sounds so European, but like there's no team in Europe that puts Union after their first name. There's like Union Berlin, but that's before, like, so it's totally unique to Philadelphia and the way they name themselves, but it also sounds American, but also European. Like they hit that perfect balance. And I think the Crew name was like right there in name. I just think the brand imagery could have been tweaked, but I mean, the core of the brand was still strong to me.
Another question from Ken. It's a good one. We kind of do our what have we learned segments. I feel like this is a good sum up. We'll definitely do that segment next week after the first game because I'm sure a lot will be learned. But Ken asked for Eric or Jeff, so I don't know if just one of you want to do it since we're starting to run a little long. What do you think was the most important bit of advice you got or most important thing you learned during this process, going all the way back to that first Ozone's Brewhouse meeting? Eric, what do you got?
The most important thing that we've learned. I guess I'll share something that, because in talking to someone else recently who's thinking of trying to start a club at this level, is to like make sure you surround yourself, or you know, whoever's involved, make sure it's a group of people that there's a solid group of people with a diverse set of skills that is like fully committed and on board to making this happen. Because when I think of the number of decisions we've had to make, the number of things that we've had to do, like trying to do that without like the board, the 7 of us on the board, and then also the, you know, now there's 300 members out there, like, and a bunch of those are, you know, heavily involved. Trying to do what we've done without that group of people, I can't imagine it having gone, you know, being successful at all, let alone a lot of the things we've been able to do. So like, I think that's one of the biggest things I would say to anyone trying to start a club is like, before you really get going and commit to something like this, make sure that it's not just like one person or 1 or 2 people. Make sure you've got a solid group, that you bring in people that they don't have to be soccer people. Like, look for the skills that you need around the table to build an organization. And then, you know, you hire a good coach, you bring in some of the people who are the experts on soccer and let them handle that side of things. And that's how you're going to make it work.
Makes sense. I think we've said multiple times, your soccer infrastructure in your town, how are you tapping into that? Lansing had a robust soccer infrastructure going into this, thanks to the 2 teams before. So that's kind of what I think led to our success in a lot of ways. Ken asks,
Actually, I had.
Sorry, go ahead.
An answer too, and it's obviously learning the most important thing is just let people who show an interest in something, let them do it. Don't concern yourself, because I mean there's so much for all of us to do. Like, I don't concern myself with what Steve's doing on game day operations. It makes my life better, and it, like, I mean, Steve's really good at it. So like, why do I need to even worry about, like, community outreach? We hit, like, with Erica and Rufus and Dylan and everybody else who's doing that work. Like, I don't have to worry about it, and I know it's going to get done just amazing, because those people are doing an amazing job. And I mean, just let people explore their passions and just take the reins of this. And it's been great so far. But I will say, early on, the most important bit of advice I got, talking with Jeremy Sampson, like within a week of when we decided we launched, I had a conversation with him, and that was one of the things I asked him, like, what's the one thing you could tell me right now that's going to help us out and help us be successful? And he's like, and one of the things is do your homework and learn what you don't know as fast as possible. And so that's kind of been the guide. Like, it's the joke that I'm like paranoid, like, what am I forgetting? But if we cover all those bases now, we as an organization are so much better off, instead of having to constantly be doing the things like in real time. Oh, I forgot this, I need to do this. Well, I actually already thought about that. So now I don't, and I stressed myself out like a month ago. So right now, everything's now running smooth. I've been trying to live by that and think by that, and it's been pretty beneficial. So
yeah, that is good stuff. I did notice you didn't call out the social media team for being good at what they do, but that's okay.
You guys are like the trumpet section in the band. You guys don't need the ego stroke. Because when you start stroking their ego, you get a little like Wild West, and we don't need that.
All right.
Wild Weston.
It does get wild. We had one question in the chat. Real quick, if you have any others, make sure to put them in quick. But Greg Harris, for you, Dylan, asked if the supporter meeting at Ozones will be outside. Ozones does have a pretty good outdoor area. Are we trying to go there? Or?
Yeah, we'll see on the numbers. That's why responding on social media is important. Ozones does have great, like, kind of garage door shutters, so it does have a lot of air going on through there. I guess that'll be kind of something we decide when we see how many people we get there. A few of us are gonna try to get there early, reserve some spots and stuff like that. But we'll play it by ear. I mean, it might be indoors, it might be outdoors.
That is a good call, though. I think the weather is going to be good, and Ozones does keep those garage. They keep really good ventilation.
Absolutely.
So I believe really the garage doors, I would imagine, would be open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do a great job with their COVID standards, and whenever the weather's good, honestly, even when it's cold, they usually keep their front door open. But when it's warm, they will open up those shutters. So even if you're inside, it will be open air. So I think it'll be a good, safe environment. And I do know a large chunk of people going will likely already be 2 shots in. I know I will be. So it should be a good environment. And I think that's why we've waited so long to try and do something in person, so we could get to that point.
Yeah, Ozones a bit perfect for us.
All right, so that is it for the mailbag. We're going to talk a little Lansing United next, but real quick before we move on from the Common, just remember, tickets this Saturday. Buy them. Tell your friends to buy them. Buy them early. Once again, buy them early. This is important. Yeah. Limited tickets, and they won't be for sale necessarily there. You just got to buy them online anyway. So just do it. Just buy them. They're $5. They're $5.
I know Ken Seelman had a supporters group question. I was eager to to answer a Ken Seelman question. I was very excited for that.
Did Ken have a question?
He did, yeah. He asked, "What is the supporters' main goal this year, and what is perhaps a secondary goal?" And I know I was very flattered to get a Ken Seelman question because I know that's a huge.
Oh, I like to.
We're so used to them at this point. They're not that big of a.
I like to ignore.
I've never answered one, Jeff. I've never answered a Ken Seelman question. I feel like that's like
I left it out because we kind of tackled it, but if you want to give a quick answer, go.
I was just gonna hit a quick blurb with it, Ken. Like our main goal is to really present an open supporters group to everyone in Lansing. We want to have everyone's voice be heard and have everyone have an influence. We don't want to make this a supporters group for the inner soccer core. We wanted to make it a supporters group for Lansing. And if you're looking for a secondary goal there, Ken, I'd say really to show to Lansing Common Football Club, this community, awesome community owned club, that we are their supporters group, and show the city of Lansing as a whole that we're there for the city and we want to make a better Lansing through the supporters group.
I love it. And you've been doing a great job of that with the community outreach. And I know,
yeah, absolutely.
If you're in the Slack, there's a lot of events coming up now. Like you guys are really amping up the events now that like more people are vaccinated and stuff.
Yeah, we're getting a full docket going on.
Yes, sir. But yeah, buy the tickets and buy the kits. If you haven't bought the away kit yet, I know a lot of you have the home kit from your memberships. Buy the away kit and goalkeeper kits on sale tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of you will be very tempted to buy that. Love the edgy aesthetic. Love the supernatural CW aesthetic. I really do. All right. So if you're a Capital Combustion listener, you know we tackle Lansing United at the end. So that's what we're going to do next. Lansing United kicked off their season on Saturday with a 4-2 loss to Midwest United. That is basically the new Grand Rapids FC. So real quick, you see the schedule on the screen there. I'm just going to quickly sum up the format before we go into that. So we're in a 10-team conference this year, the Midwest Conference, but because of travel, they try and limit travel costs and all that. They kind of split it into two divisions. So you see who we're playing. We're playing a couple of Chicago teams, playing a couple of Detroit teams, and we're playing Muskegon twice. So I'll say the standings on UWS are not great. Steve was looking up the score, and they had the wrong score for Lansing United versus Midwest. They had 5-3 instead of 4-2. So I'm just going to say it's a little confusing, but from the press release I read, of these teams, the top two will make the playoffs, and then the other division, the other top two. So if you're a past Capital Combustion listener, you may know I have complained very heavily about the playoff format being like 4 out of 6 teams. This year, the regular season matters a lot. Only the top two make it. So every loss is huge. So we're playing a good team. Grand Rapids is obviously kind of the powerhouse of UWS, but this still a tough loss. Any loss is tough with only 2 out of 6 making it. So the game, before we get to the game, Jeff, the roster was released for Lansing United over the past 2 weeks. Phil Friend had a nice write-up in Lansing State Journal. I guess the consensus was it's a familiar roster, and that's a good thing because it's been a successful team outside of some single elimination playoff games. So what were your thoughts as you saw the roster come through? Obviously, you can talk about the familiar names and maybe call it a new name or two that caught your eye.
Yeah, I'll say it is really nice to have the OG squad back. I'm glad that they've officially given themselves like a clicky name because I mean they've just been with us from the beginning, and so it's great because last year United played a couple games in the Keyworth Showcase, whatever, but it didn't feel like Lanu roster because like we didn't have Athena, we didn't have Danny, we didn't have Alexis Mitchell, we didn't have Anna Stinson playing significant minutes. So it just didn't like it was a Lansing United team, but it didn't feel like I don't know, the personality of the team didn't really come through. So it's nice to be back with the familiar names, and some of the additions have been just actually watching them. getting that experience watching them for the first time, kind of more impressive than kind of just the names when they were getting tweeted out, but actually seeing some of them play, some definite things to be excited about.
Yeah, you were pretty, despite the loss, you were pretty upbeat when I talked to you after the game. Traditionally, we go through all the goals, but hey, there was a lot of goals. We're going long, and honestly, the video stream was better than a lot of Midwest Premier League standards so far, but still quite laggy. Midwest Premier League streaming standards, not high. Scott will change that, but not high. And I'm sure Detroit City and maybe the Stars will have better streams too. But what made you feel good about the performance overall, despite the 4-2 loss?
Well, it was evident from pretty much the beginning that United was playing the game basically on individual talent. Because we did have, like, even if they are the OG squad, they haven't played together in a long time. So there was some definite, like, team tactical stuff and just, like, especially in the back line. The back line had a rough night defending as a unit. But I'll say I couldn't, like, individually, I think a lot of players had really strong individual games. So I think the thing with this team is just getting it practice time and getting it to gel. Because I'll call it one player as an example, like Casey Conine, which is a player who played with us year one but not year two because of injury reasons. A welcome re-addition to the back line. Tall, physical, just super aggressive player. And she had one of the most impressive defensive performances I've seen from a Lansing United defender not named Zoe Morse. And yet she still had miscommunication error where she kind of flubbed a defensive stop. So, like, there are players who had, like, great games and had some mistakes. And I think I attribute most of the mistakes to just not knowing. And there's another anecdote was, like, several minutes into the first half, one of our players on the back line literally asked one of our players playing in the midfield what their name was. Like, that's how little time this team has had to really play together and gel and to play as aggressive. And we controlled a lot of possession at times, and then the individual skill, like, the team's gonna get better because I'm confident in the team culture that they always gel. So if everything looked pretty good from an individual standpoint, and that's the only part that's really missing for me, then I don't fear pretty much anyone going forward.
Yeah, you were oddly confident. I said I was feeling kind of rough because of the playoff format. If it was like the old 4 out of 6, I would have been like whatever. But I felt a little nervous. But yeah, the backline stuff. I mean, while there are a lot of returning players, 2 years ago when we did this podcast, I mean, to me, obviously Athena was huge to the backline, but so was Mary Carlson and Olivia Trombley, and them being gone, it's an adjustment. Is that really just what you said has to be worked on? Is just the communication, and you think they'll be all right?
I think communication. Got to get more players into the fold. Some players haven't reported yet because they're not been released from college and finished up their stuff yet. So there'll be more players coming in. That'll provide some depth options to work, and just the chemistry. I really do think a lot of it was communication based. Was a lot of the reasons that we really in the times that we struggled. That was the reason, because there were times where we really dominated just based on individual performances in this game. So,
who was your woman of the match?
This is a tough one. I think my most consistent performer, top to bottom, and maybe the someone who played their best game in Land U colors, Lexi Ponstein. You'll be able to identify her. She kind of wears one of those protective headbands around her head, and she's a winger for us.
If you're looking at the screen right now, you see it. So
yeah, she's played for us before. I honestly never really kind of noticed significant contribution, but she was on Saturday, like played with flair, which I hadn't seen in a while. Like she was doing Cruyff turns and nutmegging defenders and stuff. Like she and her ball distribution was good. The work rate was incredible. Like she keeps that up, she'll keep the starting job all year. Like she had a really good game. I also think kind of as a 1B, I go back to Casey Conine. Super aggressive on the back line, kind of a piece we're missing, especially when Trombley isn't returning for us this season. We needed a player like her, and she even had moments where she was kind of leading the charge. She'd win a tackle and then start dribbling forward, kind of looking to distribute. And like if that's part of her game that we really see come through this year, she could be great. So I think it'll be Ponstein and Conine. We're the two like jump off the screen, if you will, for me. But I mean, Cam Evans with a great goal and we're great too. Can't deny that too. So, but I'll go with Ponstein as my 1A.
Strong distribution from the back, I feel like it's been always a big part of Land U women. So that is definitely good to hear. So the next match is Sunday. This is a really big one because I said you can maybe you can lose to Midwest because they're maybe going to be one of the best teams. But Corktown AFC, that is the old Detroit Sun. They are one of those teams that's always kind of decent, but like they're tough out. They were the ones that we had that famous 4-4 draw with a couple years back. They're playing in Corktown now, obviously. 5:45 p.m. on Sunday, my favorite start time of the year. So they beat the hell out of Muskegon Risers 8-0. And I didn't watch the game. I'm just not buying that like they're that good. I've seen them enough. My theory is just Muskegon is that bad. I think you have the same running theory as me. But it's an important match. So we'll see.
I mean, I've seen the players that Corktown have brought in. Very reminiscent of a Detroit Sun roster. With maybe a couple additions, but also a couple losses. So
that's a team we usually beat.
In my brain, it's a tough one. I feel like this week will determine the true trajectory of the season because these are I still think we're the second best team in our division, but Corktown could easily steal that from us if we're not on our game. So we have to show up for this one, but I think I'm confident enough that I think we can take it, but at least come out of the ballpark with at least a point out of this one is a must for me. But I think we can do it.
Okay, because that's that's one of my favorite questions. Is this a must-win game? And it's the second game of the season, but it's second out of 10, right? And once again, only 2 out of 6, only 33% of teams make the playoffs. So I was close to saying it's a must-win because I know you're not maybe as high in Detroit City. I imagine they're going to be solid, though. Like, that's going to be a tough game, too. And I feel like the Sun, Corktown, whatever you want to call them now. I guess we have to call them Corktown. They're a team we can beat. They just are. I don't care if they won 8-0 against Muskegon. Like, they're one of the teams you have to. I think it's a must win. I know maybe it's too early, but I kind of feel that.
I still think it's a must point. But
yeah, must point.
I mean, I mean, there is some urgency to this game. And honestly, the big wild card is in all of this is those Chicago teams.
We have no
Traditionally, the not Michigan teams don't play all that well in our division in UWS that's strong. I think the Indiana merged team, I mean, took a step up
They were good
whole season, but the Chicago, they're a wild card, so we got to be careful not to. If it turns out they're good, then we gotta step our game up for them as well. But I think there's a culture within Lansing United that I think helps us. Like our squad knows how to win, and they're used to winning. The only real hiccup they've ever had is in the playoffs. So, I mean, just gotta play our game, play to our style. I know we have the great talent to do it. So
it's and I will say some of the playoff some of the playoff losses, might be just kind of luck based. Obviously, single elimination. I think a couple years ago we had a couple players. I think Zoe wasn't around for the playoffs when she was around during the regular season. So it's not, it's always tough to judge the team off that. But maybe in the past we went too hard in the regular season and didn't save enough for the playoffs. But then this year it's kind of like you actually have to go out in the regular season.
That was the funny moment actually. After the team had their final team talk and they were kind of doing the post game, Alexis Mitchell came over to us, and that was one of the first things we started joking about. Is like we never lose to Grand Rapids in the regular season. We only lose to them in the playoffs. So if we got our loss out of the way, that means we're gonna go through and make the playoffs, and we're gonna handle the postseason this year. That's what this means. So
there we go.
The sky is not falling. We're just playing the long game here.
Look, we beat Corktown, we beat Detroit. We're gonna feel good. At that point, you could whatever happens against Midwest the next game instead if you're looking at the schedule on screen. But yeah, so Corktown is May 16th, as you see on the schedule. May 23rd against Detroit City at home. That's going to be a huge one. I imagine Detroit will be bringing a solid contingent of fans, so that'll probably be the most intense game of the year outside of a playoff game. So that'll be fun. That could be, obviously, that will be a very important game as well. And that's what a weekend, right? The 22nd will be the Bearings, which I think I accidentally skipped Ken's question on that. But the West Michigan Bearings, and going back to MWPL, top of the table right now. Two wins in 3 games. They've looked great. I think it's going to be a really intense game. Like that's going to be that weekend might be too much, Jeff. That's going to be a really intense weekend.
We'll see.
Can never be too much.
I'm really excited for these games to start, but I'm starting to remember how stressed I get. And those are 2 very stressful games. Like, if we lose to the Bearings, if the Cow loses to the Bearings, that's tough. And if United loses to Detroit, especially with the loss to Midwest, it's going to be tough sledding.
Why do you insist on speaking this negativity into the world?
I know.
I get stressed. Like
he's a Lions and Pistons fan.
Yeah, you realize so June 22nd is the NBA lottery, and I've already decided it'll be like one of the 20 most important days of my life, like somewhere in the top 20, because my happiness for like a decade is contingent on that day. But I've already convinced myself that the Pistons will drop in the lottery. I have worst case scenarios running through my head all the time. Like when I started this podcast, I'm like, oh God, what if I blow the kit reveal? And then I blew the kit reveal. So
see, because you spoke it into existence.
So yeah,
brick kit.
It's gonna be tough. Look, there's bad stuff. Okay, but we'll good. Maybe it'll be a magical weekend. Huge win against the Bearings. We'll be off and running for the MWPL season. Then United will crush Detroit. Northern Guard going home sad. Hate when that happens. But it'll be wonderful. It'll be a wonderful weekend of joy and maybe some beer and some wins. So, all right. That is it for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around. Sorry for the delays. Steve Beckman producing. Appreciate you. You're the real MVP. Eric, Dylan, Jeff, great work. Really appreciate it. Any final thoughts from anybody? Buy tickets.
Buy your tickets. Buy your kits.
before we go, real quick, 4 days from now, the whistle blows, the ball is kicked. What do you think will be going through your mind in that moment? Will you just be like awestruck, or will you be thinking about other stuff like, oh?
I'll be thinking. Cry. I hope nobody's at the merch table because I don't want to be working during that. Like, feel free to come stop by the merch table at a lot of different moments throughout the match day. But like right when the team's walking out and the first kick, I would kind of like that to not have customer. So plan your shopping accordingly.
We'll just build that into the pre.
I will actually be working the merch table.
We'll make sure that we emphasize that on Thursday. Get your merch orders in before the game for Jeff.
Or even like give me like second minute if you want to just stop by the merch table like the second minute. I'll be fine.
Okay.
For some reason, Jeff is forgetting that we have
Eric,
interns.
Real quick, I think you had a thought.
I don't remember what it was going to be.
Well, you'll probably be important. Like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. That's going to be what's going through my mind. So
like that.
So buy tickets. You'll see both the goalkeeper kits tomorrow. That'll be fun. And Thursday at 7:00 at Ozones, come hang out with us and Dylan, and let's get the supporter group running. Instead, I think that's going to be very important to the long-term success. How big this club gets. I truly believe that is on the supporter group. So if you want to truly be a part of growing this club, that is the best way to do it. So we will see you then. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you next week. I think we're going to try and do Tuesday, Wednesday game recaps pretty much every weekly going forward. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks again.